Hi, I'm attorney Gregory Dell, joined by attorney Alexander Palamara, and we're going to talk about one of Alex's resolved cases against MetLife, and it's a long-term disability insurance matter. And Alex, in these videos, we like to talk about the history of the claim, why the claim was denied, how you were able to help, and then provide some MetLife long-term disability claim tips that would hopefully be helpful for people who have a claim with MetLife. So tell us about the occupation, the definition of disability, and the history of what went on with this claim.
So this guy came to us after being denied disability benefits by MetLife. Prior to making this claim, he actually worked for the United Launch Alliance, which is, the independent company that's now actually launching spaceships for the United States and whatnot. Pretty cool job. Worked as a process specialist. Worked there for a few years. I mean, it's a pretty cool industry that he's in and whatnot. But unfortunately, he had to stop working because he started basically coughing up blood. After months of coughing up blood, they finally realized what was going on. He had to have emergency mitral valve repair. And the crazy part about this surgery is that during the surgery, his heart had stopped 3 times. They had basically had to use those, the shockers to get him back to life and whatnot. Came out of the surgery in tremendous back pain. And lo and behold, he found out that the grounding pads for the shockers ended up burning his back and whatnot. But lo and behold, the guy went back to work after having the surgery and having all these after effects from the surgery. Went back to work, but within a week of returning to work, he realized he made a mistake. He tried to end up working for a few months after that point, and the problem was that he was in so much pain, low back pain, upper back pain, just so many bad issues that came from the surgery and the after effects of the surgery, that he's taking more and more pain pills. And his job is he's on his feet a lot of the time or sitting down a lot of time, doing a lot of presentations and whatnot. But he's had to take more and more pain pills, and next thing he knew, he was falling asleep at his desk or falling asleep in his office, and there was no way, that he can continue working. With the pain medication, the sleepiness and whatnot, and concentration issues, there's just no way he could continue working. So he filed this claim for disability insurance benefits. To MetLife's credit, they approved his claim because they initially found him disabled from being able to perform his own occupation. But what they did here is what they do in a lot of claims. If you watch any of our videos, you're going to see this time and time again. If you're on claim, when they typically deny your claims at the 2-year mark, and that's what they did here. It's a pretty typical denial. They denied it due to the change in definition of disability. They did some independent physician reviews, and utilizing those reviews, they went ahead and denied continued benefits on this claim.
So what ended up being his final diagnosis that was disabling him at the time that up until the point in time when they said you're no longer disabled? What was his diagnosis at that point in time?
Just pain, pain, pain. He had
chronic pain syndrome?
Chronic pain syndrome, fibromyalgia, but he also had back issues, degenerative, disc disease and whatnot, low back issues, upper back issues. But it all just ended up he's suffering from pain 24 hours a day.
Did he end up having MRIs of the back, which showed objective findings?
Yes, indeed.
So he was no longer claiming a disability from a heart condition.
Correct.
It was really more of it ended up developing into a back disorder and then the chronic pain associated with that.
Exactly.
And when you got the claim file, which is the documentation that you request after a claim has been denied, what did you learn in there, and then what was your plan of attack?
So the first thing you do when you get the claim files, you gotta go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and the things that you're looking for are any reviews that the insurance company has done on the claim. They could be reviews from 2 years prior when they first approved the claim. They could be the reviews that were probably done in the last couple of weeks before the denial. And the reviews, the things you have to look at reviews at what kind of doctor performed a review, or whether it was a doctor in the first place, could have been a nurse. Was this doctor or nurse, did they have any specialized training in the conditions that you're suffering from? And more often than not, they don't. They just use an occupational medicine doctor. They don't use sometimes they don't use the correct specialization to review the claim. And the other thing you have to look at is, the depth of the review that they're doing. Because you'll see a lot of the times that the reviews come down to like 4 sentences. You're denying someone's disability benefits based on 4 sentences, and all this other objective information that's already been provided to you. It's kind of like mind-numbing and shocking what they do in some of these circumstances. And that was the same case here. They just performed an independent physician consultant review. They never met with him. They never sent him to independent medical examination. They never sent him to a functional capacity evaluation to see what his true physical abilities were. Instead, they just relied upon this, there's a couple paragraphs, summary, and denied the claim. So what I did after seeing those reports, I realized that they need more objective evidence to prove this claim. So I drummed up, as much of the diagnostic testing results that my client had been to in the past. We got him to see more MRIs. I got him to go see, actually I got him to go do a functional capacity evaluation, and the results of that showed that he clearly could not do sedentary work. I mean, the results were just overwhelming, that there was no way he could perform a sedentary job or any job. He's below sedentary capacity.
And what does that mean, that he couldn't do a sedentary job, and for how long would he have to do it?
So most insurance companies, when they get to the any occupation standard, it's always a sedentary job. And no matter what your previous job was, they want to, in order for them to satisfy that you can do any occupation, it's always a job that you can sit all day. You know, maybe a computerized job or something where you sit in front of a computer all day or whatever it is. So their standard is very low. If you can do a sedentary job, then you can do any occupation. Even though they're supposed to take into account your training, education, experience, and even your earnings. But oftentimes, if they can find you a sedentary job, they're going to say you're no longer disabled.
But is it just that a person can sit for 6 to 8 hours a day? Is there any cognitive requirements?
See, that's the thing that they always overlook that. They say, oh, your doctor said this, or this testing, or our doctor says you can sit for, for 50 minutes at a time with a brief period to stand up, and you can do that for 7 hours a day, so thus you can do a sedentary job. And oftentimes they overlook the cognitive requirements of most jobs. I mean, if you're a high earner or making anything, decent money, most jobs require you to use your brain, right? And if you're dealing with pain or on pain medications, there's just no way you could cognitively perform the requirements of your occupation. And they often overlook that. They say, oh, you can sit so you can work, which is, no employer thinks that. No boss says, oh, you're sitting, you're doing a good job, Right.
It would have been interesting for the doctor here who reviewed the medical records to hire our client to come work for 40 hours there to manage all of these reports that the doctor puts together and see if the client's able to keep all of those together, which would probably be unlikely. So how long after you submitted the claim, and what did you actually finally submit?
Well, a long appeal. I went through, in my appeal document, not only do I summarize the supportive medical data, I dreamt up more support from the treating provider, so I summarize, or I give them arguments regarding the support from the treating providers. I summarize the objective medical evidence. I spoke of the results of the functional capacity evaluation, and then I criticized the reports they're relying upon to deny this claim. So essentially, I take those reports and all the faults or all the issues that they have with my client's claim, and I plug holes in all those. You're saying he has an issue here, that he didn't have objective evidence here? Well, here's the actual objective evidence. So I plug those holes, and I give the insurance company, no way but to reapprove this claim. And lo and behold, it was a quick reapproval. It was within 45 days. They have a total of 90 days to give you an answer on an appeal. More often than not, it takes 60 to 75 days to get an answer, but more and more we're getting responses pretty quicker nowadays, and this one was less than 45 days.
So what do you think this claimant could have done to possibly avoid a claim denial?
See, the insurance companies are a beast. They really are. And the key to your claim is keeping the beast well fed. You have to make sure that you are seeing your providers on a regular basis. You have to make sure that there is diagnostic evidence as much as you can to show objectively that you're disabled from whatever you're suffering from. And maybe you have to do updated diagnostic, objective evidence. Like you might think, oh, I did an MRI 3 years ago, that's enough. Well, the insurance company, they might deny your claim, and your doctor might say, you don't need this. And you might have to say, doc, I might need this because this is my income. This is what I'm relying upon right now to stay afloat. And if the insurance company denies your claim, it could be 3, 6, 9 months before you get any benefits again. So you have to keep the beast well fed with objective medical documentation, or just medical documentation, whatever you get your hands on, and talk to your doctors, get them the right letters of support. But the more evidence you have, the harder it is for them to deny your claim.
And I know our client had surgery in this particular claim, but is surgery a requirement in order to get benefits?
By no means, no. You don't have to put yourself through surgery. There's requirements that you can't. Let's just say let's say you're a truck driver and you have a broken arm, and it's a displaced fracture. You can't just say, oh, I'm disabled, I'm not going to get it fixed, I'd rather just get disability benefits. You have to take reasonable remedial fixes to fix your issue. But by no means do you have to have invasive surgery, something that could kill you. Like people ask me all the time, I have back issues, do I have to have back surgery? And I say to them, no, because sometimes back surgeries leave you worse off than when the doctors found you.
Right.
So, but you have to take reasonable remedial, provisions or precautions or whatever you want to say to get back to work. But at a certain point, you don't have to go above and beyond. You don't have to take experimental drugs or experimental treatments.
So this was a MetLife denial at the change of definition from ONOC to any occupation, and now you continue to represent the claimant to protect the benefits, and you fill out the paperwork on a monthly or a quarterly basis. Do you expect that MetLife could challenge the claim again?
You always have to live your life that way. You always have to keep this beast well fed. We're always getting updated medical records from the providers. We're making sure he's seeing his doctors because we want to prevent that from happening. It's always hanging over your head. It's a threat that could happen. So the best way to prevent that from actually happening, from the hammer from falling, is to give them records whether they need them or not. Sometimes we don't provide them on a monthly basis, but we'll hold them ready. So when the insurance company asks for them, we're like, well, here you go. It's on a silver platter. Here's all the proof you need.
And one of the things that's difficult for claims, especially the claimants that have chronic pain conditions like this particular client, is you go back to the doctor and the doctor can't do that much more for you.
Right.
And so even this particular client had a pain, was a pain medication issue, and you kind of want to try to stay away from those even though you get to the point where you have to manage them because they can be very addictive. And so claimants get complacent and they go, why am I going to go to my doctor? First of all, I got to pay a copay every time I go. Second of all, there's nothing more I can really do. I know what I have. I'm just trying to manage my symptoms. But disability company tears you up for that. So at a minimum, I always say, once you get stabilized on a claim, you got to go once every 3 months, absolute minimum. You got to see your doctor 4 times a year.
You got to document it. It has to be documented that you still have these complaints and still have these issues.
And when you go, and we've talked about in other videos, you can't go in even if you're having an okay day, which an okay day for someone who's in pain would be like a 10 out of 10 for you and I who aren't suffering with anything, but they might go in with a 4 or 5 out of 10. And disability company goes, oh, it looks like you're okay, you're having some good days, you can work. So don't be a hero when you go in there. That's your time to document it, because if it's not on paper, disability company is going to take advantage of that and be like, oh, the person's okay, they don't really have any complaints, let's deny them and see if they go back to work.
Right, and if the doctor asks you, what's your pain today? You say 4 out of 10, but you have to also say 4 out of 10 right now, but tomorrow or the next day after, because I'm out and about today, it might be a 6 or 7.
Yeah, or 2 days ago I had to take a 2-hour nap in the afternoon because I couldn't move from going with my daughter to dinner or whatever it may be. So important tip, document like crazy and be vocal. Bring a pain diary or a pain log if you have it. Share it with your doctor. Let the doctor know this is a disability claim. This is not just for you to remember what's going on with me, because I know you know, doctor, but this is for someone who you and I don't know is going to review these records and manipulate what's not in your records as opposed to what's in your records.
Right.
So if you're someone who has a MetLife long-term or short-term disability insurance claim, feel free to reach out to Alex or myself. We'll immediately provide you with a free phone consultation. No matter where you live in the country, we're available to assist you, and we look forward to the opportunity to speak with you. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the managing attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process, and when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now, at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search, plus we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now, we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.